Talk 1580 editorial. I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
In the first hour, thought-provoking Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're going to turn our attention to worldwide and international events. But more specifically, I'm turning my attention to coffee in Ethiopia. Trump's 10% tariffs on most coffee imports, including from Ethiopia, are expected to increase prices for U.S. consumers and businesses by adding costs to importers that have passed down the supply chain. Ethiopia is a major coffee exporter to the United States. It faces potential economic disruptions as these tariffs could reduce their export revenue and impact the livelihoods of its many coffee industry workers. Coffee roasters and cafes may need to absorb costs or raise prices, while consumers could see higher retail prices at grocery stores and cafes around the country and around the world. Our very special guest today is Abel Ayele. As the former and managing director of Bun Aroma Coffee Exporter, Abel leads a team of highly qualified professionals with over 15 years of experience in coffee farming, production, and export operations. The coffee company is committed to delivering premium quality green coffee exports and exceptional operational services built on a foundation of honesty, integrity, reliability, and sustainability. He has an executive MBA in international business, trade, commerce from UBIS in Washington, D.C., USA. Abel brings a strong background in international trade and business analysis and joins us today from Ethiopia. Abel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Abel, can you hear me? For some reason, we have lost Abel until such time as I can hear from his mic. I will continue to talk. He is a certified coffee specialist, consultant on Frontiers and GuidePoint Global Network, providing expert insights in the coffee industry. As a certified Q grader from the Coffee Quality Institute, he is passionate about promoting high-quality specialty green coffee beans and empowering small coffee farmers in Ethiopia. Under his leadership, Bun Aroma Coffee Exporter has successfully built strong trade relationships with global buyers, importers, and roasters in Ethiopia, North America, the Middle East, China, South Korea, and Australia. Their commitment to quality not only ensures a sustainable supply of premium coffee, but also enhances the livelihoods of Ethiopian coffee farmers, contributing to the industry's long growth. Abel, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And I hope our listeners can completely understand and appreciate that this is worldwide on Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And Abel is joining us live from Ethiopia. It's so good to have you, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Jesse Jackson, for the time and for having me on your show. It's a great honor for me.
It's my pleasure. Abel, let me ask you a question. Here in the United States, normally our trade deals, for example, are negotiated over time with countries that include, for example, the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. When I was in Congress, I sponsored alternative legislation that was largely responsible and supported by organized labor in the United States, called the HOPE Bill. Human Rights, Opportunity, Partnership, and Empowerment. And I argued that the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which was like NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement for Africa, had to take into account our history. Therefore, I believe in free trade, but I also believe in hope for Africa. Human rights, opportunity, partnership, and empowerment to combat the years of exploitation that has taken place between the United States and the continent. When I think about Donald Trump's unilateral tariffs on countries like Ethiopia and their effect, I am deeply concerned, as you can possibly imagine, that it does not take into account the relationship and the history. Abel, share with us how the coffee business is faring in that part of the world, and we'll move to some larger issues when we come forward after the break. Abel?
Yes, certainly. As you know, coffee is one of the largest internationally traded commodity next to the crude oil. As you know, Ethiopia is also the main coffee producer, especially fifth in global, and then first in African continent in terms of the coffee production and also exports. Indeed, Ethiopia is also the birthplace of Arabica coffee historically.
Hey, Bill, hold on one second. Because of
Yes.
that disconnect that we had, I've got to pause for a break. This is Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, more with Abel Ayele.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is Abel Ayele. Abel is a coffee producer, a manager, and an exporter in the country of Ethiopia. He is joining us via Ethiopia this evening. Abel, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse Jackson, for having me.
You sound much better. I apologize. This is going to be our longest segment, so you'll be able to get a lot out in this particular segment. Hey, but let me ask you a question. Trump's tariffs provided about a 10% tariff on the country of Ethiopia. If we can start there, please share with us the hardship that such tariffs create unilaterally on a country that produces coffee, second only to petroleum in terms of exports around the world. Abel?
Yes. Just to start with an kind of like introduction about Ethiopian coffee before I come to the 10% tariff imposed by Ethiopians under the Trump administration. Ethiopia is the birthplace of Arabica coffee, and which is a powerhouse in global coffee markets and representing about 17% of the world's coffee supply is from Ethiopia. And it is not just like a crop, it is a lifeline for the coffee consumers who are mainly dependent on the Ethiopian unique coffee tasting notes. We have like a unique cupping profiles compared to the other coffee producing countries in the world. So approximately 30 to 35% of Ethiopians economy, the foreign currency, foreign exchanges also comes from the coffee exports. And then nearly around 15 to 20 million Ethiopians are also directly or indirectly benefited from the coffee value chain. So as also United States, they are the third largest Ethiopian coffee buyers, accounting about 20% of the export revenue within Ethiopia, within the country, is coming from the sales we ship green coffee to the US market. So after, like in April, as you know, this year in April, the Trump administration already they imposed 10% of import of Ethiopian green coffee, not roasted one. So actually, which is also aligns with other coffee producing countries from Central and from South American countries, from Guatemala, Colombia, and also including in Africa and from Ethiopia. So we are having, the cost is going to increase. The cost is going to increase because buyers are also shifting their purchase volume, and then in terms of also pricing. A year ago we used to have a direct communication and then negotiation about the coffee price that we are usually selling to our end buyers, roasters, and importers. So we are still facing the tariff for the green coffee export is bearing a heavier burden, especially as we are coffee producers. We don't usually do the value addition. So we don't do the value added processing within the country. We are like a raw coffee suppliers. Our economy, our business is dependent on we purchase coffee cherries from smallholder coffee producing farmers. We process like washed and natural coffee. As you know, there are coffee processing ways. So as a producer and exporter, after we purchase cherries from smallholder farmers, we process and then we also deliver exportable high quality coffee to the central warehouse. We have to do the packaging, reprocessing, repacking according to the buyer's quality standard. All those expenses are also dependent on the burden is on our side as an exporters. So these rates may reduce the demand from US buyers, because they could shift towards to buy the cheaper coffees, like Robusta beans from Colombia, and also from Vietnam. Some main countries who are producing Robusta coffee, the price is usually, compared to the Arabica, the price is way down. So we see, Ethiopian coffee harvesting season usually starts from October to January every year. So last year we exported what we have on our warehouse, on our stock. But now for the upcoming new crop season, which is going to start within the coming 2 months in October, starting from mid-October. So we see that the buyers who are based in the US are not that much actively following up on the status of the production. Before the harvesting season, we have to provide them the estimation, the estimation of the product,
the futures.
the futures. Like we used to provide that kind of information, and most of the buyers also plan to come to Ethiopia. There is we call it origin trip. They usually come during the harvesting season, like any importer or the buyer. They organize their clients, like roasters, coffee shop owners in the US. They invite them to come to see the origin, where coffee is processed, where coffee is harvested. They also we prepare in advance their trip. They come in November or in December. We took them to the farm, to the coffee sites. They spend like a few days, around 3 to 4 days. We drive them around. They see the coffee cherries. They also communicate with the coffee producing smallholder farmers. We spend some time together. But this year, so far, we are not receiving any demand or interest from those our existing clients. None of them are, sending us emails or as usual. This month was usually September, August, and September is the season for us to prepare to receive our clients, to take them around according to our schedule.
Let me ask you a question, because I find it interesting that we're having this conversation, and you're sharing with us while I'm in Chicago and you are in Ethiopia today, that coffee beans that your small farmers in Ethiopia produce are traded on the futures market here in the city of Chicago.
Right.
And you're telling me that you're receiving less inquiries from buyers domestically in the United States as a result of the tariffs and the general and global demand for coffee. And you also cited a statistic that as many as 20 million Ethiopians out of 130 million people within Ethiopia are directly tied to the coffee industry.
All right, correct.
So a 10% tariff on Ethiopian coffee with less demand impacts the U.S. futures market, because you're approaching now the coffee harvesting or planting season in October, and Trump's tariffs are having an immediate impact on the harvest.
Right. We have another, emerging markets in Asia. We have around 20 new markets within Asia, and also in Middle East, like in China, Japan, Saudi, UAE, South Korea, and Malaysia are showing higher interest to use the advantage, because of that, we are hoping that even though there is a less demand from the US side, our alternative market, there is, because of the tariff is already shifting the geopolitical, stand of the business, especially also in the coffee. Like also, as you know, Brazil, they have also higher rates of tariff, one of the biggest coffee supplier. So the price, the future market for the coffee so far is increasing. It's going high, but the coffee importers are not highly interested, even though there's a surge in the stock market, in the future markets. But the buyers are shifting to buy coffee from different origins. And then, as an alternative side, as coffee producers in Ethiopia, we are also diverting our attention to directly work with the emerging market in Asia, especially in China. Chinese have been, like I can tell you, in the past 6 months, we see around 12%, approximately around 12% of, increment in the coffee supply to China compared to last year. So the Chinese are also mainly, taking advantage of importing coffee from Ethiopia, and they already also listed African coffee producing countries like kind of a tax-free, duty-free. Whatever coffee is exported from Ethiopia to Chinese market is becoming without any duty or tax. So from the parallel, the market is still showing kind of significant, increasing a little bit, but we are not receiving any intent or contractual agreement for the future coffee contracts. So importers, we are talking about physical coffee, not like spot trading. For spot trading, maybe those traders, they usually based on the international demand and then the international market, not only in the US. For the global coffee supply, the companies who are listed in the stock market, NYBOT, the New York Board of Trade, they keep trading for future, but they are not trading for physical coffee. But as a coffee producers and exporters, we are talking about the product, what we have on hand, what we are harvesting, what we are collecting from smallholder coffee producing farmers. But parallelly, that market is maybe the physical coffee may or may not be shipped to those clients.
Hey, Bill, am I correct in assuming then that there's less demand in the United States?
Right.
Because there are fewer contracts, but the Chinese, for example, are filling the demand because of the specialty coffees, the Arabic coffees, and the other coffees that Ethiopians produce, hence strengthening the relationship between Ethiopia and, let's say, China, or even we saw recently here in the United States a summit from Xi in China with Putin, as well as Zelensky and others. International leaders came to China for their military parade, but I'm assuming they're also discussing economic issues. So some of the voids created by the Trump tariff regime in the United States, making it difficult to get contracts for the futures markets for Ethiopian coffee, these other countries are stepping in, and they are, I'm assuming, issuing contracts or seeking to fill the void that is created by the high costs of coffee around the tariff regime.
Correct. Maybe the main, in my opinion, the main purpose of the trade tariff which is being imposed to many countries is, I think, the current Trump administration goal is to bring companies back home, back to the United States, to produce everything locally. But maybe if we are also aware of the National Coffee Association, or NCA, they are based in the US, in Houston. They even wrote a letter directly to the White House by explaining about coffee is not a product that can be produced or grown in the US. You cannot you cannot force coffee producers to come to the US and grow it locally to reduce the expense of importing from different countries. So, logically, even when coffee is not something that you manufacture or you assemble somewhere out of the country. So, because of these kind of, challenges within like the trade war, coffee importers, they have been organizing several conferences in the US, and then they even wrote a letter to the Congress. Even have the copy of that letter. I have seen it. I can even forward it to you. So, this gap is creating a huge misunderstanding within the coffee importers and the coffee exporters from Ethiopia or from other countries. But specifically from Ethiopia, Ethiopian coffee is one of the best and the unique coffee that the specialty coffee roasters, coffee shop owners in the US use it as, a kind of a spice they use to blend with different origins. So, because of this gap, because Ethiopian coffee had different tasting notes within a very few kilometers. Maybe if you talk about Kenya or Uganda or Tanzania, as a country, the general coffee character is the same. But in Ethiopia, we have like thousands of different qualities within like unique qualities.
Abel, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we're going to talk about the various notes of coffee, from walnut to chocolate, the various notes that make Ethiopian coffee so special in the market. When we come forward, more with Abel Ayale on KBLA Talk 1580.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York City students returned to class Thursday under a new statewide smartphone ban.
We want to sit in the classroom and not be disrupted. We want to focus and not have someone bully us because of the way we dress.
Black Mayor Eric Adams visited HBCU Early College Prep in Queens, one of 7 new schools opening this year, telling students the ban is meant to boost learning and real-life interaction. The Justice Department is now investigating Black Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook for alleged mortgage fraud with subpoenas issued in Michigan and Georgia. The probe follows referral letters sent to the DOJ last month. President Trump has moved to fire Cook while continuing to push the Fed to cut rates. And the House has failed to censor Black New Jersey Democrat LaMonica McIver, who's charged with assaulting ICE agents during a May visit to a Newark detention center. 5 Republicans joined Democrats in voting no, with many GOP members walking out. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If the NBA proves that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer violated salary cap rules with the extra $28 million for Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers could face significant punishment. The NBA could take draft picks away from the Clippers or fine the organization as much as $7 million. The league also could hand down a suspension to Ballmer or Clippers general manager Lawrence Frank. The LA Sparks have 4 games left in the WNBA regular season to make the playoffs, something they have not done in 4 years. The Sparks are a game and a half behind the Indiana Fever for the 8th and final playoff spot. Next game for the Sparks is Friday night in Atlanta against the Atlanta Dream. The Dodgers need a win tonight in Pittsburgh to avoid getting swept in the 3-game series. In the Dodgers' 3-0 loss Wednesday night, they were 0 for 4 at the plate with the bases loaded. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
And that
Imagine a world without heart disease and stroke, where every person has the chance to live a full and healthy life. Join us for a walk to save lives at the American Heart Association's Greater Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Saturday, September 20th at the Rose Bowl. Every step made and every dollar raised means more people learning CPR, more life-saving research, and more time with the ones we love. Sign up at heartwalkla.org. The LA Heart and Stroke Walk is sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health. Thinking about going electric? Now is the perfect time. Electric vehicles cost less to run, don't need gas, and need fewer repairs than gas-powered cars. You can also save with federal and state tax credits, and in some areas, qualify for rebates on home charging stations. To learn more, visit www.breathesocal.org. That's www.breathesocal.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Thought Provoking Thursdays, and the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack is in our next hour. And I'm looking forward to that conversation. But I want to tell you, Abdel Ayeli has got my undivided attention. During the break, I went over to my little stash of coffees that I get from Starbucks. Here's my Ethiopian Reserve Oromia West Arsa. Here's my Tanzanian Ayenga coffee that I keep from the reserve. We're talking today about the impact of Donald Trump's 10% tariffs on many African goods and commodities. And he was sharing with us, I think, quite frankly, some breaking news that the administration putting a 10% tax or tariff, if you will, on coffees from African nations. They had to send a letter from Texas, of all places, Houston, Texas, where one of the associations responsible for importing coffees to the United States is. Of course, that's Greg Abbott's Texas. They had to write a letter to the President of the United States, sharing with the President of the United States that, listen, you can't grow coffee in America. Your tariffs and their impact on the coffee producing countries around the world will have an immediate effect on the cost of coffee and one of the great American pastimes, having a cup of coffee in the morning. And Ethiopia is a significant factor in the coffee production business for the global economy. Before I bring Abel back, I want to share with you that African commodities encompass a broad range of products, primarily from the agricultural, energy, and mining sectors, including significant global production of cocoa, gold, crude, and various minerals like diamonds, cobalt, and copper. These resources are vital to African economies, driving growth and contributing to the global economy and supply of food, energy, and raw materials. Cocoa. Africa is the leading global producer of cocoa beans. That's everything chocolate. Coffee and tea. The continent also supplies significant amounts of coffee and tea. Other crops, avocados, cashews, and various other grains. Liberia, they produce rubber. That's right. General Motors owns trees, rubber trees in Liberia. The cost of car tires are tied to Trump's tariff regime. But nothing for me, at least, more shocking than what Abel said a few moments ago about Texas having to let the White House know that you can't grow coffee beans in the United States because the climate doesn't let it happen. We've gotten so used, Abel, here in the United States to drinking these little plastic cups and sticking them in a Garrick machine, hitting a button and some water. That's not coffee. That's coffee flavor. That's not real coffee. This is coffee. And Abel is offering us some insights. Abel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Abel?
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse, for having this critical conversation on the air. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. So now share with us, because we focus on our program on the least of these, those poor working class people in our own country, but countries around the world. Take us through the average season or cycle of an Ethiopian coffee farmer who now finds him or herself in this global tariff regime, tariff war, if you will. What are the impacts on their lives?
For us in Ethiopia, the producers and the exporters, the potential for tariff was a profound threat, because it targeted, the lifeblood of our economy, and also the livelihoods of over 5 million smallholder coffee farmers, farming families.
5 million families.
Exactly. It wasn't a policy. It was, in my opinion, it's like a punishment that would have landed directly on the most vulnerable. It also risked undoing years of work to build and the brand equity for Ethiopian coffee, threatening to push also most of the the relationship has been built very long years ago with the potential coffee importers in the US, because this will push them back into being cheap, and also to focus on the bulk commodity coffees to source from the other part of the world. So the message overall, the tariff message sent was, I think it's not going to create stability in the coffee industry, in the coffee buyers in the US. So on the other side, for the American importers, roasters, and also consumers, the end users, the impact would have been equally favor compared to what has been also happened to the producer side, because it would have also disrupted complex long-term supply chains built on relationships and a commitment to a sustainable supply of green, higher quality coffee to the US market. Because now we are receiving like different opinions from coffee roasters. They would have already faced impossible choice of absorbing the massive cost to increase and hurt their own businesses or the end consumers. Making one of the world, Ethiopian coffee is one of the world's most beloved coffee, more than it's more to be expensive, but it would have already penalized the US companies for their ethical sourcing choices.
What I find fascinating about it is that the average Ethiopian farmer, their basic wage for, let's say, a pound of coffee doesn't change. They work hard, and they're not even part of the exchange relative to the 10% tariffs that are either passed on to American consumers, European consumers, or anyone else. They're still paid essentially what they were paid before the tariff. It's not like the tariff benefits them. It simply gouges the end user of Ethiopian labor that essentially harvested coffee at the same price or the same rate that it's always been harvested at. The 10% isn't passed on to the farmer who's harvesting the coffee, to the poor 5 million families. It's simply passed on and collected at another stage of the trading process to bring Ethiopian coffee to the first world or to the Western world. And so it'd be one thing if the tariff were benefiting the least of these farmers and the quality of their lives, the quality of their health care, the quality of their housing was somehow improving, but absolutely nothing changes for them. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to KBLA Talk 1580, and Abdel Ade Ayele will be our guest in this final segment in just a moment.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising prior results do not guarantee future outcomes. Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580. Attorney advertising prior results do not guarantee future outcomes. Asthma Peak Week is almost here, September 14th through 20th, and it's one of the most dangerous times of the year for asthma flare-ups. Did you know that Black Americans are about 5 times more likely than white Americans to end up in the emergency room due to asthma? This is an important reminder to be informed, prepared, and proactive. If you or someone you care for has asthma, now's the time to get ready. Make sure medications are filled and not expired. Review your asthma action plan with your doctor or care team. This is also the time to talk with your doctor about your triggers, monitor your symptoms closely, and double-check inhaler technique to ensure you are using all prescribed medications correctly. Caregivers, make sure your child's school or daycare has their rescue medications and know what to do in an emergency. Stay aware, have a plan, and spread the word because your health matters. For more active asthma care tips, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy. leave a breeze. La 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 la.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In this final segment of our program, Abdel Ayele, founding and manager director of Bun Aroma Coffee Exporter, leads a team of highly qualified professionals with over 15 years of expertise in coffee farming, production, and export operations. He's been joining us in the last hour, sharing with us his concerns and what the global concerns are with respect to the 10% tariff that Donald Trump has placed on a number of African, sub-Saharan African, as well as Northeastern African and South American countries, particularly in the coffee business. Abdel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Welcome back. His concerns and what the global concern. Abdel,
Thank you, Jesse, for having me again.
I'm so glad that you're here. Let me ask you a question, if I can. Blue Mountain Coffee in Jamaica, same concerns in South America?
Right. Because, compared to the production capacity, Blue Mountain is, not that, they don't cover majority of the coffee production or supply of green coffee to the U.S. market. Again, if I emphasize on the 10% tariff of the U.S. has imposed on Ethiopian coffee, this policy really has a consequence on both ends of the chain, both in the supply and also on the export, the production and also on the demand side. Yeah, because coffee is for Ethiopia. Coffee is not just an export; it is a lifeline of our economy. Millions of smallholder farmers depend on the coffee, as I tried to mention like several times before, for their daily bread. Coffee is the lifeline of their daily income. So, and the sector contributes the bulk of our foreign currency exchange in earnings in the country, and most of these farmers already live with very tight margin. So when we are talking about the 10% of tariff is added in the U.S. market, it immediately reduces the Ethiopians' competitiveness in the U.S. market, because the existing buyers, for example, you are mentioning about from the Starbucks reserve, you mentioned about the coffee traceable information about West RC in the Oromia region. And the coffee has to be sustainable. You need to find that coffee within the shelf of reserve coffee shop continuously. You don't need to replace that origin with different with other origin of the coffee, because because of that, because of the competitiveness within the U.S. market is going to decrease, which might affects the buyers to look for cheaper origins of coffee, like from Colombia and from like some central coffee producing countries, from Peru, from Nicaragua, El Salvador. They might only they may divert, which threatens to slow down our export growth in Ethiopia, and also it lower the income of the rural communities, and it will also weaken a sector that is already fragile. So on the other side of also the story, it also affects small coffee shop owners in the US side, because Ethiopian coffee is not just it is not like as a commodity. It is a specialty product with unique flavor profiles you cannot find anywhere else in the world. You cannot find that coffee flavors from Central America or Blue Mountain, or even not from Kenya or not from Uganda. You cannot find that flavors from different origin. So coffee consumers, drinkers in the US value, for example, our traceable coffees from sourced from Idga Cafe, from Guji, from Sidamo, from from West RC, for their quality and the uniqueness. Now with a tariff, importers and coffee roasters face a tough choice: either absorb the added cost and cut into their profits, or pass it into the consumers. If they pass it on, retail price is gonna rise.
I want to try and break that down. Break that down just a little bit. Let me just try.
Right.
I'm an avid coffee drinker.
Right.
When I go to a coffee shop, I order the same cup of coffee every day. So I'm a habitual coffee drinker. And I count on those notes, that chocolate, that cocoa, that oak, that cinnamon, that flavor that only grows in certain soils in different parts of the world. Whether I know where the bean is actually produced or not, I count on that same flavor bean every day. Donald Trump and the tariff regime is counting on my habit of loving that coffee so much that I'm willing to pay more just to have my same cup of coffee every morning. Because, as Ayele says, it is a specialty coffee. It's not just Folgers in a can. I hope I'm not getting myself in any trouble here, or Garrick in a little plastic tube. It is a specialty coffee grown in a special climate like Ethiopia or any other country around the world. And the hardships are so profound from the tariff regimes that, quite frankly, if you look at not just commodities, but the other commodities other than coffee in some of these countries, a 10% tariff is enough to destabilize the entire government. Because farmers then come into the urban areas because they've done their harvest, but they're not receiving the same amount of money from their harvest. So they find themselves now moving into the urban areas, trying to find other jobs, other means of work and food, creating pressure on the entire systems themselves. And that's why we as Americans historically negotiate trade agreements very, very carefully. We just don't drop tariff regimes on people and demand that they pay certain tariffs and raise the price throughout the entire supply chain. We carefully negotiate these deals over years so that the disruption to local economies are not so devastating as we try to mutually grow together. Abdel, am I correct about that?
Absolutely. Because, this means, there's going to be less diversity in the cup of American consumers, and it's going to be less access to one of the world's finest coffee, because it's going to also result, the tariff is going to also result a lose-lose situation for both sides, because it also is going to, it is going to also increase risk of earning in our side as coffee farmers in Ethiopia.
Wars have been fought over spices. Wars have been fought over spices, over teas, over salt, over coffee. I mean, it's these things that so destabilize some of our countries around the world, particularly when countries rely so heavily upon these particular commodities, and the inequities in trade, the power of a single nation to unilaterally, not multilaterally, but unilaterally make a decision can be so devastating that that it's very, very difficult to recover. Abdel, we have about 2 minutes before we have to conclude our program. Your final thoughts on how we can move forward together.
I think, to me, this shows, trade policies need to be carefully considered. Coffee should not just be treated as a number on a balance sheet. It is a cultural bridge. It's people's livelihoods, and it's also a shared enjoyment between Ethiopia and the US. So my hope is that in the future, we can work forward fairer trade practices that protect producers while keeping this unique Ethiopian coffee accessible to consumers within the US market. So that could be, my opinion. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, it's Johnny Mac time.
Thank you very much for having this critical conversation in the air.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York City students returned to class Thursday under a new statewide smartphone ban.
We want to sit in a classroom and not be disrupted. We want to focus and not have someone bully us because of the way we dress.
Black Mayor Eric Adams visited HBCU Early College Prep in Queens, one of 7 new schools opening this year, telling students the ban is meant to boost learning and real-life interaction. The Justice Department is now investigating Black Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook for alleged mortgage fraud with subpoenas issued in Michigan and Georgia. The probe follows referral letters sent to the DOJ last month. President Trump has moved to fire Cook while continuing to push the Fed to cut rates. And the House has failed to censor Black New Jersey Democrat LaMonica McIver, who's charged with assaulting ICE agents during a May visit to a Newark detention center. 5 Republicans joined Democrats in voting no, with many GOP members walking out. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If the NBA proves that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer violated salary cap rules with the extra $28 million for Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers could face significant punishment. The NBA could take draft picks away from the Clippers or fine the organization as much as $7 million. The league also could hand down a suspension to Ballmer or Clippers general manager Lawrence Frank. The LA Sparks have 4 games left in the WNBA regular season to make the playoffs, something they have not done in 4 years. The Sparks are a game and a half behind the Indiana Fever for the 8th and final playoff spot. Next game for the Sparks is Friday night in Atlanta against the Atlanta Dream. The Dodgers need a win tonight in Pittsburgh to avoid getting swept in the 3-game series. In the Dodgers' 3-0 loss Wednesday night, they were 0 for 4 at the plate with the bases loaded. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Thought-Provoking Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And I am going to ask our producer, because she does such a fantastic job of it, to really, really consider more of these international programs on Thursday afternoons, in part because I think we need an outside perspective on what's happening in our communities. And so I am so excited with Worldwide on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show that my producer is reminding me that's what we do. We cover the world on Thursdays. I got that. But these guests on Thursdays really, really do matter to our outside perspective and how we perceive ourselves in Los Angeles, in Chicago, in New York, around the country. And so I'm very, very grateful for Brother Abel's contribution. Who would ever thought that the impact of the cup of coffee that we have in the morning and the tariff regime has an impact on 5 million people in Ethiopia who produce coffee farmers, who many of whom don't have health care. They struggle to put food on their families and on their food on their tables and provide for their families and provide their children with the kind of futures that they deserve, while we are enjoying a latte or having a cup of coffee here in the United States. I mean, Dr. King said it best. We are globally connected. We are part of an inescapable mutuality, a fabric that connects us all. But all we hear in the United States is, I'm offering a 10% tariff here, 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 and here. But the consequences of it are, for the global poor, have tremendous consequences that maybe in our daily routines, in our daily lives, we don't give reflection to. I shall never forget the first time I spent a day or two with a farmer and his family. And I shared very early on in this programming, many, many months ago, that whenever I would have prayer and my mother or father would ask me to pray over the food for breakfast in the morning, they would say, hey, Jesse, would you please say prayer before you eat for the family? And I say, God is good, God is grace. Thank you for the food that we're about to receive, for the nourishment of our bodies, for Christ's sakes. Amen. And then let's eat, y'all. At one of these moments, or one of these periods in my life, I spent some time with a family farmer in South suburban Illinois and had breakfast with that family, spent time in the cornfield driving the combine and the tractor. But before we did, we had breakfast. And the farmer and his wife asked their children to pray. And their children thanked God for the rain, thanked God for the sun, thanked God for the harvest, thanked God for all of the things that made it possible for the seed to be nurtured to grow, so that they could feed the chickens and feed the dogs and feed the hogs and feed everything on the farm. And I thought about the prayer that I gave when I was sitting around my table and the things that I took for granted in the production process so that I could have something to eat. But the farmer's prayer reminded me of just how much goes into not only the production, but their way of life, how much they count on the sun, how much they count on the rain. And this is true in Ethiopia as well. We just have a cup of coffee, but, give me my latte, or go back and you didn't make it right. Pour that one out, give me another one. We've given absolutely zero thought when I order my coffee in the morning about 5 million families in Ethiopia who are profoundly impacted by whether or not I even want the flavor of their coffee, and what they do as harvesters and the impact that that coffee has on them. I've asked Abel Ayele to come back on our program. He is still here with us. Abel, we were having such a profound conversation. I'm not so sure that we can afford to lose you right now. Abel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you again for having me on air. Thank you very much.
Abel, we have just about a minute before the break, and then we'll have a longer conversation just after the break. How How is your country doing?
In terms of coffee or generally?
I think generally.
Yeah, this next week, the coming next week, Ethiopia is going to inaugurate one of the largest hydroelectric dam. I think it is seventh in the world and the first in Africa. It's called Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. So which is going to be inaugurated the coming week on Tuesday. It has been under construction and development for the past 14 years. Maybe if you are aware of the geopolitical situations within the Nile Basin countries, Ethiopia and Sudan, Egypt. And also President Trump has been also several times recently mentioning about this issue. So for us, if you ask me about Ethiopia, the country is under having tremendous, reforms in terms of economy, and also the very good thing is we are inaugurating one of the largest hydroelectric dam next week.
When we come forward,
yes.
When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we're going to talk about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and its consequences for providing something as basic as power to people who've been waiting for it for more than, 14 years. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land loss before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Abel Ayele. Abel is a coffee producer from Ethiopia. And we spent the last hour talking about coffee productions and the impact of Donald Trump's tariffs on that commodity. But if you think about the thousands of commodities that come from Africa, the thousands of commodities that come from South America and other poor countries around the world, you can only imagine that we only have time on this show to talk about a single commodity, coffee. But the impact of 10% tariffs around the world is creating a downward pressure on the poor, because nothing is changing for them in light of Trump's increasing tariffs. However, just before the break, Abel shared with us that Ethiopia is developing a significant hydroelectric power resource to meet its growing energy needs and facilitate economic growth, with the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam being its most prominent project. The country possesses immense hydropower potential and views electricity generation as a crucial factor for poverty reduction and industrialization, while also serving as a tool to boost national income through electricity exports to neighboring countries. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is the largest hydropower plant in Africa, a multi-billion-dollar project located on the Blue Nile River. Imagine that some countries and companies around the world are now going to have access to this exported power from Ethiopia, which will be new. Took 14 years to create this multi-billion-dollar power plant, but that there are still parts of Ethiopia that are without electricity. That's true, isn't it, Abel?
Yes, absolutely.
And other countries that neighbor Ethiopia are without electricity as well. Isn't that right, Abel?
Correct.
And so the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is really one of the first projects that really brings many of these countries, I'm not even discussing the 21st century, into the 20th century. Because we've enjoyed power for more than 100 years, 150 years. That's correct, right, Abel?
Right.
So you've got to imagine the context of the imbalance of trade between the United States and Ethiopia when a country as developed as ours sends a 10% tariff on Ethiopian coffee for a country and many countries in the region that are just now and will soon be enjoying electricity for the first time. Abel, take your time and share with us.
Just to give you an overview about maybe if you most of the listeners are aware of about the Ethiopian the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which has been on media also attracting global media attentions for quite more than a decade. So it's like it is not only a power project; it is a symbol of Ethiopian self-reliance and national pride, which is fully funded by Ethiopians. I can tell you, like Ethiopian population is approximately around 130 million. Like I can say, like 80% to 90% of the total population contributed. They also purchased individual bonds for the construction of this great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And which is it's almost fully completed, and then it's going to generate close to 6,000 megawatts of electricity. The number of turbines, so it's going to double also the existing capacity of the Ethiopian electricity, the hydroelectric power, which is going to also increase the supply of power for industries, and Ethiopia is going to be also one of the biggest energy exporter in Africa. We already started exporting to Kenya, to Uganda, and also to Tanzania, and sooner will be to Sudan and to South Sudan. So this will support. Also, the government recently had a reform, like a year ago, last year in August, like liberalization of Ethiopian Telecom, one of the largest telecom company in Africa, and also the banking sector and the logistics, by attract more investment and boosting industrialization. So becoming the powerhouse of electricity, it's predicted that it's going to attract investments for foreign investors. So beyond the economy, GERD, Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, will also improve lives by expanding access to electricity.
I do want to say that I don't want to give anyone the impression that more often than we do that there are not some very modern, developed parts of every single African country, including Ethiopia. You could walk down some of the major cities in Ethiopia, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between those cities and downtown New York or downtown Chicago. There are cities just like that.
Right.
But in rural areas, just like rural America, there are some people who still need a freezer to freeze their food or a refrigerator, and they need power to do that. They need lights. Students who want to study at night, they need lights to heat water without using wood-burning stoves, and to use a stove requires electricity. And I'm discussing those least of these within these countries that are profoundly impacted, not the elite within these countries who've traveled the world and experienced the world and live no differently than the people within the sound of my voice. They live just like we do. They attend our schools. We attend and work with them in various parts of the world. Abel Ayele has a master's degree in what he does. He's the best at it. He is well-traveled and well-learned, but then there are the least of these in these countries who need hydroelectric power, and the tariffs impact them differently than they do those of us who are capable. Right, Abel?
Right. I fully agree. Because as you mentioned, it's going to improve the lives of many who are living in the rural areas of Ethiopia. It's going to support education, healthcare in rural areas. And it's also going to provide equitable water use within the region in Africa, and that it also makes Ethiopia the hub of renewable energy, which is also going to support other African countries, smallholders, rural people who are living in the village areas of those countries beyond Ethiopia. So when I come back to the societies, the communities living in Ethiopia, I think approximately around the electricity coverage in the country is around 37%. I think I have to double check about the recent data, but imagine close to 60%, 65% of the whole population is not living in is not having access to electricity.
So no Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi.
They are using charcoal. Yes, no. I mean,
no cable, no cell phones, no laptops.
Exactly. Yeah. Because for cooking they are still using charcoal. Some clinics, hospitals, they use generators. To have improved health and to support also small businesses within that area, in the rural area. Still, electricity is vital. For the betterment of the society. Maybe people they might have a small cities, like small cities in the village areas. They might have electricity, to access to electricity. They might charge their phone. Maybe the telecom companies are using, building towers with a small generator only for the internet coverage. But when we go downline to the individual smallholder, farmers who are living in the rural areas, there is no access. There is no access to electricity. So it is also going to also enable them to get the coverage is going to it's going to have the biomass of coverage of electricity in the schools and the hospitals, in the clinics. It's going to double, or it's going to increase within the coming few years. That's what has been expected. Beyond that, also we call it's a turning point for Ethiopia's economy and the society, and for the well-being of rural communities.
I want to introduce to our show our producer, Gina Towns, the producer of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She's decided to welcome to the show, Gina.
Well, thank you, Jesse. First and foremost, I want to say that Johnny Mack just gave me a call and alerted me that he just landed in Kinshasa. and so he's not going to be able to join us today. I want to make sure that you can still hear me. Yeah, so we wish Johnny a great trip there in Kinshasa. I've asked him if he can get settled, if he could join us tomorrow. But we will continue on Worldwide. And I have to tell you, one of the reasons why I wanted to jump in, and thank you, Jesse, for allowing me, because I think I was getting a little incensed during this conversation. And for anyone listening to it and understanding what is going on here, it seems to me that any trade or any economic benefit to any Black or brown nation right now. And let's just be really real here. When companies or countries rather have a commodity, and of course, coffee is probably still the #1 commodity in the world, that followed by gold and cobalt, perhaps. And all of these things are in the ground on the continent of Africa. And so it seems, you've got Brazilian coffee, you've got Guatemalan coffee. And so if the tariffs are too high to really do business with the United States, and everybody has to settle for drinking something other than what they have become accustomed to, then what is the purpose? I mean, I really want to get down to what is really going on in the onslaught, not only domestically in the United States, with our pending economic crisis, with unemployment at an all-time high amongst Black women, and then when you look at countries who are Black and brown by population and government. So can we please talk about something a little bit more pointed? When we look at this whole coffee thing, I think it's indicative of something much larger.
Hey, Bill.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Gina, once again for the time. Still this is a complex and critical issue. Just to give you my thorough analysis, it is very important to state from the outset of the overwhelming consensus among the economists and the trade experts is that broad tariffs are a net negative for both economies involved. When we are talking about protection of domestic coffee industries, the US has a small but growing coffee cultivation. Maybe if you guys are aware of the coffee grown in Hawaii and also in California, I think they call it Cali coffee. And also in Puerto Rico, they have, I think, very small percentage of coffee is also growing. That's the argument that has been raised, I think, from the US policymakers to increase the domestic production of coffee in the country. But compared to the demand, which has been already known, the US, everybody, has higher, culture of consuming coffee. So, in terms of the reality, and the scale is high. So, I think maybe, we Africans are, Black and brown, we are mainly, marginalized in terms of, suppliers of raw material or raw coffee to the Western world, including to the US. And then I can say there are a few number of coffee importers and roasters in the US. When it comes to the African American or the Black and the brown, African Americans who has been living in the US. So majority of them are, they could work for coffee companies, but in terms of the mainly dominating in the economy, they are very few in number. So I'm very proud of my country, that I'm representing the coffee which is originally sourced and farmed in Ethiopia. And I think it is, I can represent my country is the birthplace of Arabica coffee. I'm selling something what I'm producing.
Hey, Bill, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward more with Gina Towns and Abel Ayele, we're talking coffee and we're talking about the impact of global trade when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Singer Montel Jordan revealed on NBC's Today Show that his prostate cancer has returned, now at stage 2 after surgery last year.
Fully confident. I know God is healer. I also know that I have the greatest of care professionals and people that are alongside of me.
Diagnosed in 2024, the singer says he remains optimistic thanks to early detection. Washington, D.C. police officers will get a 13% raise next month under a new agreement. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser also announced plans to boost the force to 4,000 officers. The department currently has about 3,200. And Black Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown and 19 other states are challenging a federal policy that denies bond hearings for undocumented immigrants. They argue indefinite detention without hearings violates due process, harms families and economies, and unfairly impacts longtime residents with no criminal history. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If the NBA proves that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer violated salary cap rules with the extra $28 million for Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers could face significant punishment. The NBA could take draft picks away from the Clippers or fine the organization as much as $7 million. The league also could hand down a suspension to Ballmer or Clippers general manager Lawrence Frank. The LA Sparks have 4 games left in the WNBA regular season to make the playoffs, something they have not done in 4 years. The Sparks are a game and a half behind the Indiana Fever for the 8th and final playoff spot. Next game for the Sparks is Friday night in Atlanta against the Atlanta Dream. The Dodgers need a win tonight in Pittsburgh to avoid getting swept in the 3-game series. In the Dodgers' 3-0 loss Wednesday night, they were 0 for 4 at the plate with the bases loaded. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed, plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. On Thursdays, thought-provoking Thursdays, we cover the entire world, worldwide. Our very special host on this day, Johnny Mack, has just gotten off of his plane in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So we are all over Africa today, and I want to thank in a very special way our guest, Abel Ayele, who produces coffee in Ethiopia. He's sharing with us about some of the impact that the tariffs have had on some of the poorest of farmers, the poorest of the poor. But he also takes great pride in Ethiopian coffee, which has some of the highest notes of cocoa and oak and wood and cinnamon, all of it from the soil, which speaks to the uniqueness of coffee. But we're also talking about how these unilateral trade or tariff regimes of Donald Trump are not well thought out and the impact that they have on working poor farmers. Abel reminded us that the government of Ethiopia, the people of Ethiopia, will soon launch their dam, a hydroelectric power plant that will create 6,000, I believe, gigawatts of power, and that has the capacity to light up not only most of Ethiopia, but provide power to other countries, literally changing the dynamic of the quality of lives of millions of people. Abel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for having me again.
We're honored to have you. And of course, we're being joined by our producer, Miss Gina Town. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much.
You'll have to unmute your mic, please.
Thank you so much.
Gina, you have more questions?
Well, I have a thought probably. I think the average American, because we get in our car and we so easily stop and get a cup of coffee. I think a cup of coffee perhaps has not been on people's minds as much as tariffs are associated with car manufacturing and development on a larger scale, pretty much like your power source. And so the importance of coffee in our economy, but in our culture, I think is maybe a little bit underestimated as far as the tariffs are concerned. So one, I thank you for bringing this to our attention. But in a larger sense, Jesse addressed like how are things going in Ethiopia when African Americans right now think about visiting the continent of Africa. There are certain names of countries that kind of just hop forward: Ethiopia, Ghana, South Africa, of course. What do you feel like the future is now that this power source has come about? What do you think that Ethiopia can become? What is the short-term and long-term vision?
Yeah, as I think, as I've tried to briefly explain before, it is it's not only generating electricity, but it is a very critical areas for the development of the country. So, which is going to empower many smallholder communities in the country in terms of the health, education, and also in various sectors of, including in the industrialization, also going to attract quite a number of foreign investment, FDI, including African Americans are also most welcome to come back to their origin. Ethiopia is also historically considered of the origin of humankind. So most of the Ethiopians are also considered as we are the origin of the humanity. So in different line of opportunity or whatever you say, Africans were able to get into the US, and they already had an opportunity to live, to work, and to change the lives outside. But if they have generated, if they already had economically strong, all those African Americans are most welcome to the Ethiopia, also including to other African countries, to their origin, because we are still developing countries. We are not developed, so which gives us an advantage that everything is under development. So if it is under development, it gives us an opportunity to come and develop whatever is there. We have various number of critical minerals. We have, like, in terms of industry, in terms of production, and then many like entrepreneurs, young, like me. We have a lot of young Ethiopians who are very much energetic to welcome African Americans to build a joint venture company in Ethiopia, to share experience and also the knowledge transfer. We also call it South-South cooperation. So this kind of partnership will enhance the development of the nation, for the coming generation as well, not only for us. So it gives a great advantage for all of us to to hold hand in hand. So I think that's my general view.
Comment on that. I mean, I want to comment on that because I've been hearing over and over again, Gina, a lot more African Americans who've been really, really struggling with whether or not they even want to endure. America's people want to go to Ghana and are actually leaving. That African Americans are talking about moving to the Caribbean, and now we have a wide open arms from Abel Ayele saying, come to Ethiopia and establish partnerships with us. You don't have to sit around all day long and just digest the garbage that's being thrown at you by Donald John Trump. Gina, you've heard a lot about it as well.
Well, absolutely. And one of our best friends of the show and our engineer here is in Ghana as we speak. She's been there for a week, and I have friends that have moved.
She ain't coming back.
No, she's going to come back. But certainly people are looking at these partnerships and looking at moving. I have a part of my family that is looking to move. And I think it's a very interesting timing that we can consider finally really opening the doors to having our own trade, our own distribution networks, because of course everyone around the world knows, and I think probably African Americans don't know the power of our own economy within the United States, somewhere around $13 trillion that we spend each year that can be spent in trade that is going forward. And so, as you know, I have your coffee company scrolling across the screen. So if you would tell us how we can be supportive of you and your coffee business.
Thank you, Gina, for the opportunity. Of course, I frequently travel to the US I sometimes also attend different coffee conferences, coffee festivals, and as a speaker, and I also share my insights to the coffee roasters and also, coffee buyers who are based in the US market. And then I also want to promote my company to create a networking connection with those potential companies. But it's not easy. It's not easy, like, building a trust relationship with the existing companies in the US. It takes usually time. So maybe, I don't know, like if your show, in my opinion, has a wide coverage globally, also including in the US. And then, like, if most of the audience could be also the African Americans who are already have established business in different industry or also in agriculture, who may be interested to collaborate with me, with our company in the US. Also, if they want to come back to Ethiopia to have a joint venture business to diversify the sourcing of coffee from different coffee growing regions in the Ethiopia, which is usually, coffee is capital intensive business. It requires huge amount of finance. So this requires, yes.
This is Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, more with Abel Ayale and Gina Towns.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
This is regular deodorant.
Ugh, I can't.
Secret Clinical with workout sweat.
Let's run another marathon.
And regular deodorant.
How much more?
Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're worldwide on Thoughtful Thursdays with Abel Ayele, and we're also joined by our executive producer, Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the show. Abel, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Abel, listen, you said something that had us talking during the commercial break about Ethiopia being the cradle of civilization. We need you to build on that for those of us over here who think that, well, some of us think Greenville, South Carolina is the cradle of civilization. Some of us think that Montgomery, Alabama is the cradle of civilization. Others of us think Gary, Indiana is the cradle of civilization. Help us understand the cradle of civilization, Abel.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic. Ethiopia is historically, we have 3,000, years of history. We have been considered as also the, one of the ancient country in African continent. And Ethiopia used to have been also an empire, like maybe historically, like about Abyssinia. And I don't know, like historically, even the Indian Ocean was also used to be said that it's Ethiopian Ocean or the Abyssinia Ocean. So in terms of civilization, Ethiopia is also the only country which has never been colonized. The only country in Africa. Ethiopia and of course Liberia, but Ethiopia we defeated. We have historically called there's a Battle of Adwa. The Italians, they tried to the country has never been colonized, never been contaminated with any culture or any foreign lifestyle or whatever you say. When we say about civilization, we have our own traditional like civilization that we are been keeping what we have, without we are keeping our culture, our religion, and also our norms, our values are still highly respected. Every, like, even in the policy, in a lot of the lifestyle overall is this has been coming from generation to generation, and we are still keeping them. Everything, if you come to the Ethiopia, like we have our neighboring countries, Kenya or all Ethiopian neighboring countries, they had colonial culture they have, which is we cannot deny that. The overall lifestyle, business. Now, of course, we have globalization. Civilization is there, but what we call civilization is keeping our norms and values, which has been there for generations, and still we have been keeping it. It has been there. So we have like a lot of interesting stories about the country's like, civilization, but mainly what I'm emphasizing is we are very much proud of who we are, and then the lifestyle, the culture, the norms have been very much respected within the community, within the like society.
I want to comment on that very quickly, then I want to kick it to Gina Abel, and that's this. America is just 250 years old, and if you're here in the United States, you think you're responsible for civilization. Let's just be honest, Americans. I wish Barbara Arnwine were here. Look, folks, look here. We think we are a turning point in civilization. And what Abel said is we have a history that is 3,000 years old, that has culture, that we have never been conquered, that we are our own original people. We've been, meaning the Ethiopian people, we've been practicing civilization for 3,000 years. Americans have been practicing civilization for about 250. And we're struggling. We're struggling in ways that the Ethiopian people are not struggling. And yet, even in our struggle and our arrogance, we can put a tariff regime on the Ethiopian people, disrupt their civilization, create hardship for 5 million families who harvest coffee beans. 20 million people out of a country of 131 million people are impacted by the coffee industry in Ethiopia. It is one of the largest exports of that country to the world. It is unique in that its taste is not Folgers or Garrick, but unique chocolate, cinnamon, oak, and certain notes that come from the soil itself, hence a unique product. And then our president gets elected and he just gets to disrupt someone else's civilization arbitrarily without negotiating trade agreements to protect and keep their civilizations from being destabilized. That's heavy stuff, Gina. That's heavy, heavy, heavy.
So you know how I almost jumped out of my skin, Abel, when you said what you said, because I remember, and there are news stories that I've seen over the years, and you'll hear it reported briefly, and then you'll never hear it again. It runs away like it was never reported to begin with. And I recall in the perhaps late 80s or early 90s that the Ethiopians had a part of the Torah that had been searched for a very long time. And then you didn't really hear anything else about it. And you go, things that make you go, what's that about? And so that's we don't have time to really cover that today, but it is something that we should talk about, because that gets back to, the 2,000 and 3,000 years. It gets down to our spirituality. It gets down to the foundation of America when you look at Ethiopia. And so even in our own Bible, we see that Philip meets the Ethiopian eunuch and they have a conversations. And so all of the major religions around the world have ties right there in Ethiopia. So that's a conversation for another day, but I get it. And I was so excited that you said it, because it needs to be said, because it leads to a lot of the things that are going on right now in the world, because they are spiritually based. They may show up in economics, they may show up in tariffs, but it really has to do with who we are as a people.
Abel, we have about a minute and 30 seconds before the end of show. Your thoughts and response to Ms. Towns.
Yeah, Ethiopia is one of the oldest, rich in history, culture, and also, of course, innovation. We have remarkable achievements in architectural, religion, and also writing system like Ge'ez, and also unlike the developed world, Western world, which often they emphasize technological advancement and also industrialization. But for Ethiopia, for us, the legacy which we reflect is our like resilient, our spirituality, and also our unique continuity of culture, including being one of the few African nation never been fully colonized from generation to generation. So while the Western societies they already developed rapidly through scientific revolution, and also they have economic expansion, of course, but Ethiopia, we preserved our tradition, our language, our heritage, offering a perspective on governance, a community, and also in the identity that continues to influence both Africa and the global. Yes.
We're so grateful that you've been on our show. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show until tomorrow, where we have Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns when we come forward.
Thanks.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Singer Montel Jordan revealed on NBC's Today Show that his prostate cancer has returned, now at stage 2 after surgery last